There we are, inshallah. So I don't expect many people to join us on the live, but still, what I'll do is it's for the sake of recording, inshallah. So what I'll do is if somebody comes up and asks a question, I'll answer those while you can continue
Okay.
speaking. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. Jazakallah khair for joining in. We have today with us Sister Shannan from Middle Way Mom, right?
Yes, that's right.
Alhamdulillah, she was gracious enough to give her time so that she could come on to the series Homeschooling Solutions to the Confusion. We spoke briefly before the live, and this is the first time that actually we're seeing each other face to face.
Yeah.
Thanks to this 2020, it has give us the norm of actually meeting somebody first time on Zoom, and that's completely okay.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. So Shannan, I would love for you to tell the audience about yourself, and then inshallah we will carry on our further conversations.
Sure. So as Sister Iram said, my name is Shannon. I am born and raised in Minnesota. I have 4 daughters. They are ages 20, 9, 7, and 5.
And then inshallah we will carry on our further conversations.
You continue. Sure. Okay. So they are ages 20, 9, 7, and 5. I've been homeschooling. This will be our 12th year homeschooling. So I started with my oldest when she was in 4th grade. We did a virtual school for 4th and 5th grade, and we have been doing the traditional homeschooling model ever since. So this will actually be the first year that I have done a grade twice. My second oldest is now going into 4th grade. So I've done every grade at least once. So I at least have that. My oldest daughter now has completed her associate's degree and is working as a paralegal and going toward her bachelor's degree. So we did homeschool through high school and then worked on some college credits at home, and then passed her off to the college programs and all of that, so it can be done. And at this point, we homeschool kind of closer to the Charlotte Mason model or the Charlotte Mason method, and that's what we use currently. So.
Okay, mashallah. So you're one of the first homeschoolers who has actually, it's even on your page, it says a Charlotte Masoner, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's that, right? So a lot of people have asked about you, especially the new homeschoolers. So I want to tell the audience that you are getting a homeschooler who has homeschooled all grades up until college. So this is a treat, at least for me it is, because my children are now getting into high school. So I would love to hear from you the resources, the gems that you have seen over the years and, gone through, so that the people who are watching, whether they're first-time homeschoolers or they're veteran homeschoolers, definitely they can learn so much from you. So why Charlotte Mason? Although I know why, but just let's assume that our listener is a new homeschooler.
Yes. So one thing that I really, really like about the Charlotte Mason method is that it's very gentle when the kids are younger in an academic sense, but it is, it's very, I don't want to say the word strict, but there are very real expectations of children when they're young, but it's not, you're going to memorize what year the Civil War started, what year the Declaration of Independence was signed, and that type of thing, which I think in the younger years, we focus way too much on that kind of thing. Right. And we focus less on, do you pick up your plate after you're done eating? Do you say sorry when you did something wrong? So if you read the volumes of Charlotte Mason, the first one, it's called Home Education, and I believe the subtitle to it is something like Education for Children ages 9 and under. Mm-hmm. And she talks about teaching them how to read and teaching them nature study is another thing that's really popular or is core in the Charlotte Mason method. But she goes on and on and on about habit formation. And what I keep hearing from people who are new to homeschooling is, how do I motivate my child? And I think that's the wrong question to be asking, right? We don't ask ourselves every Ramadan, how do I motivate myself to fast? It's how do I become disciplined to fast? Nobody wakes up and they're like, I would love to not eat or drink anything all day. Like I feel so motivated to not have water all day. We're disciplined.
Right.
And in the Charlotte Mason method, that is really core when they're younger. And then as they get older, the academics really start to lay in, because people think of the Charlotte Mason method as something that's very gentle, even through high school. Like we're going to go on a walk and we're going to, just color pictures of leaves and whatever.
It does seem like that, but it's not when you dwell deep into, because I find it like it's closer to the classical method also. It's a blend of classical and her own methodology. Okay.
It is in a way. It's easy to kind of blend them together. So when you're looking at, let's say, fifth grade, you're going to be doing 2 foreign languages and you're going to be learning Latin. You're also going to be learning the history of your own country, the history of a neighboring country. And in the United States, people make different decisions based on that, because Canada and us, we have parallel histories, but they don't really intertwine a whole lot, right? So a lot of people will do British history or even Islamic history as Muslims. And then you're also going to be doing world history. So the academic sense of the Charlotte Mason method really comes to fruit in like middle school, and you're really starting to get into hefty stuff. But every time you're kind of approaching it at a in bite-sized chunks. And I do really appreciate with the Charlotte Mason method that nature study is a focus. I do think people who grow up in the city, like myself, right, that we forget how much we rely on the environment, and we, how do I say this? I think there is a lack of understanding of the natural world. And I think that has a ripple effect throughout many other areas of our lives. So the fact that there is a focus on nature study, just the idea that we observe the world around us. I teach at a private school as well. And this is something that I honestly am not seeing in kids that are in school, is that they're really seeing a picture, that they're really observing what's around them, and instead they're expecting people to kind of tell them what to think. So there's many areas in the Charlotte Mason method where you're expecting the child to come up with their own conclusions and to observe things on their own.
Right. Michelle, thank you so much for explaining, and I hope that whoever is listening would definitely delve further into it, and it is a way to go, definitely. So in terms of making so I will tell the audience this, that I came across you because you put a lot of good information out there. I have followed the books that you've put out for my homeschool. I have followed some of the curriculum posts that you have made. You don't have a whole lot of a curriculum, but you have made certain stencils for us to follow, for homeschoolers who want to follow, and they can follow. Your blog is absolutely beautiful, fantastic. Actually, what I did to promote today's talk was I took screenshots of your blog.
Yes.
and I just put it so that somebody would be intrigued, like, okay, what is this, and definitely the one where you teach teens how to the financial education of teens, something
what was it, it's like 100 skills or 50 skills that teens need to know. And it's like how to balance a checkbook, which I know is like getting outdated at this point, but how to change your oil, how to update the RAM on your computer. I come from an IT background, and so changing the RAM in your computer is like so easy to me, but it's like it really is easy, and you pay somebody like a solid $100 to do it for you, and it's ridiculous,
Right.
So yeah.
So alhamdulillah. So like you said, your background is not education, it's originally IT.
Yes.
Okay, so you were a software developer or a hardware person?
No, so my degree is in computer science in general, but I personally focused on the networking aspect of it. So connecting routers, and actually, if you've heard of in Minneapolis here, there's municipal Wi-Fi. So like the city has set up wireless that covers the entire city of Minneapolis. And I actually worked for the company that set that up. So,
mashallah.
But now this is all like very outdated. It's been a while. So,
Yeah, alhamdulillah. But then how did you then come towards homeschooling?
so as a convert, my oldest daughter was 7 when I came to Islam. So I was already into IT. I was a single mom. And so I got into IT because I just needed to pay the bills. And I didn't like want to wait around, like, when am I going to get married so I can afford things? Like, I needed to like solve this problem myself, like in case I never got married.
Yeah.
But then I got married and I started, and she was like 3rd grade, and I was starting to notice like the social pressures of school starting to creep in. And I'm a convert. My husband's actually a convert too. So we don't have like this Muslim family to
Right.
really support our Islamic values.
Right.
And it's like, if I have, and she's from a previous relationship, which I'm sure you can like piece together from that information, if I'm going to have her like half the time, because we had split custody, and then she's at school half of my time. So I have like this little teeny chunk of time to impart my morals and values with her. And it was like, I have no chance of this sticking, and especially when it's so new to me. So seeing her start to normalize having boyfriends and girlfriends in like 4th grade and that kind of thing. So that was a piece of it. Another piece of it was she was earmarked to go in like the gifted and talented program, but that program really was like they met every 2 weeks, and she was bored. They weren't challenging her, and I wanted her to have an education that met her where she was at, that would challenge her, instead of her kind of learning to coast and get A's, because that only lasts for so long, right?
Right.
In high school and college, you coast and you don't get A's anymore.
No, you don't. That's true. That's true. SubhanAllah. So that's how you started your homeschooling journey. Then,
Yeah.
what advice would you give to homeschoolers nowadays, especially the homeschoolers who are starting because they don't want to send their children to schools? Their heart is not into homeschooling. Their
Yeah.
heart is more into protecting their children, and
Yeah.
this whole idea of homeschooling solutions was so that I could bring on homeschoolers like yourself and other entrepreneurs who have put out curriculum so that anybody who's listening can choose from you. So if they ask me, Iram, what should I look for when I look into Middle Way Mom? What are the things that I can get from her? So what would your response be?
Well, I think the number one thing, if people are really just jumping into homeschooling right now, I do have on my website, if you go into like the menu bar, there's curriculum lists, and there's almost all the curriculum that I've used for like the last 8 years. There's a couple years where I didn't post it, but by and large, I've got from like 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. I do stop there because she did college for 11th and 12th grade. But I've got all the books listed there. So you can find the curriculum that we used. And sometimes I'll have notes of what we liked, what we didn't like. If somebody is really just looking to homeschool just this year, find curriculum that's open and go, that you don't have to do a lot of work to prep, and then focus on your family relationships. And don't spend too much time thinking we have to check all these boxes. One thing when we started homeschooling, and I kind of had some naysayers in my life, like, how could you ever think that you know what you're doing? Because I don't have an education background. What I kept saying is, listen, you can never screw up a kid in 1 year. Right? Like, not educationally, right? Like, I could literally teach them absolutely nothing for a solid year, and like, we'll send her back to the public school and they will fix all of my mistakes.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, public schools, but I'm like counting on this from you. But it is possible, right? Kids are very resilient. So when it comes to like an educational thing, keep up on math and reading, because those are things where it's more leveled, and you're going to start feeling that angst if you start falling behind. But when social studies, science, all of that, there's almost no 2 schools that do the exact same thing.
Right.
So if you just read books or watch documentaries for the whole year, fine. Just keep up on math and history, but really focus on your family relationships.
Okay, mashallah. That's awesome. I just realized I was not recording.
Oh, I saw that, but I'm like, well, Facebook is recording, so
Okay, we'll use a Facebook recording.
yeah,
I hope so.
it's all good.
It's all good. Alhamdulillah. That's fantastic. So the parents can find help. The moms can find help on your website, www.middlewaymom.com.
Yes. And if they want, there is a search bar on there. You can put in the word failure or fail. And I have actually documented like all the times where I'm like, I'm a failure. Why am I doing this? Because it happens. It happens to all of us.
Yes.
So there's no homeschooler that gets through 10 years of homeschooling and they haven't thought, what am I doing? What have I gotten myself into? I really believe it's just an extension of parenting where there's many times where we feel like I am in too deep. I have no idea what I'm doing, but you keep chugging along and you figure it out. You know, you ask other moms, you ask experts or, you know, whoever are trusted people in your life and you make it work.
Alhamdulillah, mashallah, tabarakallah, jazakallah khair. So now I would come to the meaty part of it, the one that I'm interested in.
Okay.
High school,
Yeah.
how does that happen? Middle school, okay, we have resources from middle school. Yes, we can always outsource. We have online tuition centers and online like Khan Academy and IXL that can help up
Yeah.
until grade. But then there's 9th, 10th, and then there's this whole idea of how to enter college, right?
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to homeschoolers who are in my stage now? Because everything else, and especially the website, it pertains to all the grades. Like you've said that this is the first year that you've done all grades, mashallah. So, okay, now I leave the board to you.
Yeah, well, I think you mentioned a lot of them, right? You can outsource so much. At least the curriculum that I suggested on my website at the time, we were pretty tight in our budget, so we didn't outsource a lot. You could really outsource everything if budget is not as much of a
Yeah,
concern.
but then that's almost like private schooling, right?
It is almost like
It
private
becomes
school.
really expensive. I saw it like per month. I was like going to spend like $1,000 per kid, and it was insane.
Yep.
I don't want to do that.
Yes. So what I did at the time, and again, you know, her dad was from a previous relationship, so I needed school to look like school, right? Like he didn't want me saying, we're doing nature study for science, like that was not going to work. So I did purchase textbooks that were either college level or high school level. And then I purchased the teacher book to go along with it so I would know the answers.
Right. Yes.
There were, and I have these links on my website too. Some of them might be outdated, but you'll come across like open courses, that type of thing, where it's like colleges post that. But I would say in high school, what you're really focusing on. So a couple of things that I learned the hard way, right? And I would do it different next time is do not grade every single assignment. Because if they have, let's say 50 assignments over the course of the year for, let's say, US history. If they have 2 assignments a week, right? And they have 36 weeks, you're going to have 72 assignments, which means that each assignment essentially is worth almost nothing.
Right.
And what I saw, and I see this with other kids too, is then if they don't want to put in the effort to something, they really don't have to, because they can really skate by with a couple F's or D's in there. And what I think is more important than checking to make sure that they have these like Googleable answers memorized is that they know how to write a solid paper, that they can put in the effort when something is hard, that they're not like, whatever, I'll get a D and I'll just turn it in and I don't care. It's that they can push through those hard things. So instead of having all of these assignments where you're constantly checking, do they remember this? Do they remember that? I want to make sure that they see the big picture. That they can always Google who signed the Declaration of Independence. They can always Google when was it signed, when did the American Revolution end, all of that. But what were the reasons for the American Revolution? Was everybody on the same page? Or was there a discussion about this? These are the type of questions that college is going to ask you. And if you ask them middle school questions, when was it signed? Who signed it? In what city?
Just the names, just the dates. Like you said,
Right.
Googleable.
Googleable.
Googleable answers. Yeah.
And
Not going to work.
have them write solid 3 to 5 page papers. So by the time that they hit college, this is nothing new to them. That they're taking information from their textbook, they're rubbing that information together, and they're coming up with conclusions and ideas. And if you look at, also on my website, if you put in the search bar Bloom's taxonomy, have you heard of Bloom's?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So the bottom is like define, you know, describe, so on and so forth. And then you get to like analyzing.
Analyze, yes.
Yes. And make sure that you're hitting that analyzing part over and over and over again, because really that's what's most important. It's not going to, it holds no value to you to know World War II ended in 1945. It holds value to you to know there were atrocities committed, and this is how they came into power, right? This is how they came to be. This is how they hid what they were doing, versus, again, you know, facts and figures and those type of things.
Right. Jazakallah khair. That was really insightful. Thank you so much for your time. It's a personal thing that I'm going to ask. I don't, if you are not comfortable, that's completely fine. But I would like to let the audience know that, mashallah, you are still a student of knowledge, mashallah, tabarakallah. And what drives you to, you know, be a student of knowledge at this point? You're homeschooling, you're working, and you're full-time studying as well, and studying deen. You are fully vested in studying deen, mashallah, tabarakallah. What motivates you, and how do you balance everything?
Well, and I'll remind you, it's not about motivate. I'm like trying to get everybody to stop using the word motivate. That's my soapbox of 2020.
Okay.
But what started it was I wanted to make sure that I know the deen well enough that I can teach it to my kids.
Mashallah.
That's really where it started. It has now become a bit more of my own pet project. You know, I had my first daughter when I was quite young. And so I've never really had an adult life that wasn't completely centered around being a mom.
Right.
And I want to, after the kids are moved out, or even if they're not moved out, but they're less in need of my time and my attention, that I have something that's for me.
Right.
I don't think, especially since I'm homeschooling, I don't think that it's healthy for me to invest all of my sense of self into them. Right. If they don't follow the deen, or if they, you know, whatever life choices they might make, I don't want my sense of self to rise and fall based on what they're doing. So, and also for me, it's easiest for me to continue to follow the deen if I'm actively learning it. You know, again, I'm a convert, my husband's a convert, so I kind of feel like we're in this like little island. You know, I'm very busy with the kids, so I'm not super active. I mean, I'm active in the community, but I'm not like there 2-3 times a week. So it's a way for me to surround myself with people that really want to grow in the deen as well. You know, it's like that's where you find the people that are going to be your besties, right? That that are going to encourage you. So it's like you want to be with the people of learning so you can continue learning and so you can continue growing. So it's very selfish reasons, really.
Alhamdulillah. I mean, I guess we all want to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and being in the circle of knowledge and investing in that is, I guess, our way of, you know, connecting with the people who probably maybe Allah loves. You never know who are wali Allahs, right? So yeah, alhamdulillah. That's so beautiful, mashallah, tabarakallah. And I'm so glad that I asked you that question, because when you said my sense of being cannot be, you know, derived from just, you know, me pouring into them, and then what's left is like burnout homeschool angry mother.
Yes. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. So a lot of mothers need to hear that. A lot of mothers need to hear that. MashaAllah. Throughout you have said that, see, listen, there is this curriculum. Go onto my website. You can look at the curriculums that I followed. I've put out all the information. Use that information. It's for free. You are giving it for free. Free sabilillah, because you have worked really hard to put that. It's not something to be taken lightly. I recognize that being a homeschooling parent. I recognize that, mashallah, that's a lot of good information. Like I said, I started following you because the books that you were telling about and the reviews that you were writing were fantastic, mashallah.
Oh,
So
that's
I've used that for my homeschoolers as well. And then again, the most important thing was, listen, no child is going to lose their smartness in 1 year.
right.
If you take it slow, nothing bad is going to happen to them. Relax. And then you can outsource. But like you said, not everybody is going to be able to outsource. So pick and choose what's important for you. Look smartly. And then again, you've given resources on your website for that as well. So, which is fantastic. Thank you so much. And I love.
I will say super, super quick, just because it's on my Instagram story, like right now, I have been working really, really hard. I teach at a private school. I teach social studies there, and they asked me to set up their social studies curriculum for kindergarten through 5th grade.
Okay.
And so I've been setting it up for them. And as I was putting it together today, I'm like, I should really like put this on my website. And because it's a bit more detailed, it might become, I don't know, like I thought of this idea today, right? So this is not set in stone of maybe this becoming a product, but I am willing to send it out to whoever wants to try it out this year. And so I have it in my stories right now where there's like a little box where people can put their email address in, and then I'll send it to them for free to basically to get people's feedback on it and see like, is this any good? But it'll have like,
I'm right now, audience, I'm just sending it to her. I'm like, yes, I need it.
So it's like kindergarten and 1st grade, 2nd and 3rd grade, and 4th and 5th grade is like each in their own sections.
Mashallah, mashallah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Like we've said, you can Middle Way Mom on Instagram and Middle Way Mom on Facebook. Where are you more active though?
Instagram.
Instagram.
For sure. I do, well, I have automated stuff on Facebook, so I'm more likely to answer you on Instagram than on Facebook.
That's good, mashallah, that's good. Jazakallah khair for your time. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming. Any last advice, any last piece of wisdom that you'd like to give the audience?
Just for people to take a deep breath, like look at, I heard this from an imam once, what is your 100-year plan, right? Sometimes we get so focused on this year, we're going to do this, like as if we have to do everything this year, right? We need to do horseback riding this year and swimming lessons, and we need to do this and that. And we shove so much in that then it's almost like we've outsourced their entire childhood, right? We're bringing them to classes, we're bringing them to extracurriculars, and don't discount how much value there is in just being with your kids when you're relaxed and playing games with them and that type of thing. So
alhamdulillah, jazakallahu khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.